I've got a slight admission to make, which is we created the Growth 2000 Index to look at the companies beneath the top 500, and we've had a fantastic amount of interest in it. But the person who had the idea was actually Sangeetha. So the reason I'm here is just to give you a quick intro and to acknowledge, of course, that Sangeetha really started this off from a conversation we were having that says, outside of those very, very big companies, there are thousands and thousands of others. How are they going about the reality of growing their business? So some people call it the growth sector. We decided to pick up on that terminology. So I'm just going to cover off very quickly a snapshot of how we arrived at them and what's in them. So we started off with our top 500, and down the left-hand side you can see the elite and leading companies. So these are the best performing multi-channel retailers and brands as judged by our analysis and the UK consumer. And I can hear you saying, how did you get to that? So let me tell you. So we track about 140,000 domains across Europe, around 11,000 companies, and we're storing billions of data points. We only ever look at at data that is objectively validatable and external. So there are no secrets or someone told us this, someone told us that. Everything is provable. And just to give you an idea with my terrible font use, the size of the companies we're talking about goes from about 2 million to 70 billion. The number of stores goes from 0 to 12,000. Anyone want to guess who's got 12,000 stores? Shout it out, don't be shy. Any thoughts? 12,000 stores? The post office. It's the post office. Even beating the lovely Boots, which seems to be every single place you look on the high street. And then we're looking at traffic of between 1.5 and 10 billion visits, and e-commerce turnover to about 30 billion. We check them against these 6 dimensions, 300 metrics, then cunning algorithms. No AI at all is currently involved. We just use our algorithms to come out with the results. All of that is freely available, so you can download that on Internet Retailing free of charge. Now, what's interesting is we are seeing that the best are getting better. So if you look at the lighter grey, this is the performance quantum across the 6 areas at the end of 2017. And what we saw last year was in every single area, the best got better. And we had a number of people who dropped out of elite status or leading status into the next status down, and actually they are better year on year than they were. Unfortunately, other people are more better than them. So at the top of the market, the pace of change has not slowed down. It's absolutely brutal, but the challenge is to make that rubber hit the road so you actually deliver on your promises. So with the Growth 2000, we've taken a slightly simpler approach, which says, before you become a multi-billion organization, just grow from where you are now. And so there are 4 aspects of growth. The first one is becoming visible and getting yourself seen. And the key area for this is around search. So we're looking at how, category by category, the retailers can be found on search. So we've plonked all this out, and we have some incredible retailers here from Better Bathrooms, Brompton, who are really working the search capability to get themselves seen. But you'll also note that, for example, in books and software, there's a lot of work to be done, whereas the people on the garden end are really rocking it. If you're taking a photo of it, that's great, but you can actually get this free of charge in high res. So just for your family, you can take the photos, but I'll give you a PDF afterwards. So search is a big thing, getting found, getting seen. The second area we looked at was mobile. Now, I'm not denigrating desktop in any way at all. I'm sure we've all got one, but mobile is where it's at for customer engagement, especially the growing customer sectors. And the thing we've looked at here is how quickly your site is fully functional and rendered on mobile. And what we're seeing is that at the bottom end, the longest ones around the fashion, this isn't because they're bad, it's because their pages are just so immense, there's so much on it. Whereas what we're seeing on the music, film and TV, literally if you cannot load the page, give the customer what they want there and then, they're gone somewhere else. So again, seeing some really interesting mix here from pharmaceutical, beauty companies to nearly B2B hire companies. So if you want to get yourself a concrete mixer or some skincare, they are amongst the best places to go for mobile. No point having customers if you can't get things to them. We're seeing an absolute arms race in terms of delivery offering. And at the top end, if you're buying a washing machine or a laptop, you're expecting to get that same day, later that day, or next day. Whereas for things like jewelry, bespoke things, we're seeing a longer time. One of the interesting things for us is that the fast fashion actually has longer delivery times than we expected because people are willing to wait for that. But the growth of named time, nominated day is really important. And then lastly, social. What we do here is we check, we message all of our companies with simple things like, are you open on Sunday, can I return it? And we send about half a dozen messages across all of the channels on which they operate, and then we assess them on whether a human being gets back to us in a reasonable time. And what we're seeing is that Facebook is the place where growth companies are doing most of their customer engagement at the moment, with that there Twitter following up very quickly. Email, by the way, has the same sort of response rates, it just takes about 7 days longer. And again, it's not because email is bad, it's because the queries people ask on email are way more complicated than someone can answer just conversationally. And again, we're seeing some of the leading retailers here, like B&H Photo, deploying some exemplary staff expertise to answer incredibly difficult questions across 35,000 SKUs, ranging from a new video camera to the latest laptop or Bluetooth headphones. So some exceptional stuff there. Facebook is nearing saturation in terms of capability. Instagram is becoming the new Facebook and Twitter combined. And we're starting to see that led by fashion brands, jewelry, who are leaping straight to the customer. So, if you have 20/20 eyesight and instant recall, they're the 2000, but I would just recommend that you download it. I hope you're in it, or the top 500. If not, drop us a note, research@internetretailing.net, and we'll make sure we start tracking you as well. So that's all I had to say. Sangeetha, thank you so much for starting it, and now I'll hand over to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for that. So, moving on, I'm Sangeetha Narasimhan. I'm the marketing director for Ingenico. We are a payments company, organization. We are one of the leading global leaders in payment acceptance. And today, however, following the Growth 2000 presentation from Ian, I'm here to talk about a few tips about how you can scale for growth using payments. And a few words on why I was chatting about Growth 2000 with Ian is that as Ingenico, we're probably the most visible, invisible brand you've ever seen. We are the kind of chip and pin terminal you go and pay in your corner store. We are also the chip and pin terminal behind an Apple product when you go and buy it, and you have the iPad there. Behind it is our payment processing machine. You probably see us when you pay for your parking app, when you book a travel holiday, when you buy a dress. We are quite invisible, but once you start noticing us, we are there everywhere. But that's not to say that we are all not about only the bigger stores and the bigger tier 1 retailers and Apples. Actually, if you look at our customers, the majority are small and medium businesses, and especially high growth retailers. And I'm in a job where I see people start a shop with just 0 transactions and very rapidly over 3-4 years grow to hundreds of thousands of transactions. So we are at the forefront of seeing a shift in retail now, where smaller e-commerce players start with nothing and are able to quickly challenge the bigger e-commerce players, and even in fact the bigger high street brands. And this is one of the reasons where I felt that the top 500 just in address the changing paradigm shift that is happening in the retail landscape. And I just wanted to have a bit of a look at, who are the next top to 500. It could come from anywhere. And if you look at our, database of customers, we have people like restaurant chains like Five Guys. We have B2B businesses like Euro Car Parts. We have Frugo, who just presented before us today. Gardening tools like Sneebier. And these are all, some of them are actually European brands which are doing really well. So the Growth 2000 is really about looking at who's going to be the next top 500 and who's got the best potential. And here I am to give you some insight into how you can optimize your payments from that perspective to achieve that growth. So if you really look at growth, you've got two kinds of growth, right? Top line growth, where you can actually boost conversion with the help of payments, or you can scale your business across boundaries. And then you've got bottom line growth, where you can protect your existing bottom line by reducing your administration and optimizing your payment setup. So because of the time today, I'm just going to focus on top line growth. So again, coming back to the Growth 2000, if you look at top line growth, what is most important is this word, customer experience. Today, we live in an age where brand can be replaced by better customer experience. It's the brand experience that matters. And many of our high growth retailers have actually gone forward by giving e-commerce the human touch, the customer experience. And here I put up a quote from Reggie Johal, who is the co-founder of Predator Nutrition, one of the fastest growing nutrition supplements. And again, he says that how he differentiates from Amazon is that Amazon doesn't innovate on products. It innovates on every other aspect, the logistics, the payment, the search, and the other mobile and the other functionality. But he says by handpicking my product portfolio to suit the consumer's needs, I'm able to compete effectively with the people like Amazon, who have actually not innovated in that sector. And that, to me, encapsulates what the opportunity there is for e-commerce retailers of all sizes. So if you are a growing retailer, you don't need to be put off by Amazon. There is a niche and there is a market for you to grow. Again, how can we boost conversion? Something simple about payments. Payments is not sexy. It needs to be invisible and frictionless. You can market it in any way you want, but the basic fact is if you're turning away a customer because of a card decline, the customer is gone. So what happens in store when there's a card decline? People just pull out their wallet, take another card and give it. But what happens online is they're going to abandon because they're doing it in between something, their travel, the internet connectivity is going off, and you don't want to type a long card number into a web page at that point. So the basic thing that all our customers are asking us is that give us a payment engine that doesn't fail. And if you can't complete the transaction in your first attempt, you're going to go away to Amazon. So how do you prevent that? A simple tip. Look at your acceptance rates. Believe it or not, acceptance rates vary with payment provider. It varies with geography. So if you're a Belgium customer trying to buy in the UK, your card could be declined. There's a chance for your there's a high chance that your card could be declined. Again, look at your acceptances. This is something that Ingenico do well because we've got local acquiring connections because we are an international business. But again, irrespective of whether you do it with us or with other providers, look at the payment page and look at your card decline rates and find out why. Just by simply boosting that acceptance rate, you could probably see a higher percentage growth. And again, it's a no-brainer, like Ian said, optimize your page for mobile. I mean, who wouldn't? So this is the Q4 data from IMRG. And again, our Growth 2000 report also found that 93% of high-growth companies are looking at mobile optimization. So it's not enough to just optimize your site for mobile, but please do look at your payment page. Is it optimized for mobile? Do people have to go to a page where they really have to look at reading glasses or probably magnifying glasses to enter the mobile, the card number? That's no good. So optimize your page for mobile. And again, especially for the UK, it's really, really important. So again, an example is from Arnaud, who's the co-founder of an app called Up and Go. So they are a parking app in France, but they're part of the Indigo group. Again, what is Arnaud looking for when it comes to payment? He simply wants motorists to register on the app, have a choice of payment methods, and be able to pay seamlessly every time they park. He's not looking for anything more. Sometimes going back to basics and addressing these questions and making it frictionless can actually help you grow. And the next part is growing your business. So if you look at growing your business, again, the simplest thing is to go cross-border. Looking at the traffic on your website, see where you're getting customers from and why they're not checking out. And if you want to grow internationally, there's a simple thing that you need to do. Offer local payment methods. So again, each country is different, even at the checkout page on how they buy. In France, security is something that you need to assure the customer. They want to know it's a safe transaction before they buy. They're quite open to going cross-border. They're quite open to buying from UK businesses and other businesses. But safety and security at the checkout is important. Belgium, all my colleagues were texting me this time to say, oh my God, Black Friday is everywhere in Belgium this time. They've really taken off with peak sales trends. Have a feel for that. And Belgians are really, really looking good at buying purchases cross-border. They mostly go to Netherlands, but they're quite open to going at other countries. They probably have the highest preference to go cross-border among any other country. And again, Germany, quite apathetic to something like Black Friday on the outside, but they would be quite open to shop with smaller retailers this year. Again, knowing these nuances and localizing to that actually helps you scale your business. And with payment methods, again, I have to stress that it might be cards in the UK, but that's not how people pay in other countries. It's a card called Bank Contact in Belgium. It's Ideal in Netherlands. It's Carte Bancaire in France. So if you didn't know that people pay with, these are the popular payment methods that people pay in other countries, you could be turning away your overseas customer. Have a look at that. And of course, you can always visit our stand because we've also got a nice cross-border quiz on Know Your European Market. So let's see how much of Europe you know if you want to have a try on that cross-border quiz later on. And the other way to grow, again, you can grow through countries or you can grow through marketplaces. Looking at growth channels, marketplaces are growing. And again, this is a quote from Frugo, who just spoke earlier. And if you look at marketplaces, what is important? Offering currencies in various countries that you want to capture customer from is very important. One more thing that is important, again, which is coming up, is PSD2 compliance is important for marketplaces. Again, check on that and talk to your payments provider and how that can enable you to grow further. Subscription, again, a great growth channel. Many of the Growth 2000 businesses, if you look at, have grown through subscriptions and recurring payments. It really ensures customer loyalty. And here's a quote from David Dirai, who's actually, smart boxes, actually gift boxes. Again, those kind of subscriptions are really popular. Again, you kind of really, what you need to know is how do you optimize your payment flows? Do you offer tokenization? Tokenization is such a simple thing. It's basically a remember me feature, but it enables you to capture consumer loyalty so that when I come back to that site, I don't have to enter my credit card details again. Again, looking at mobile optimization, these are the things that are going to help you scale for growth using your payments provider. And again, finally, another growth channel to look at is innovation. I think every retailer who's trying to grow needs to keep a pulse on new things that are coming up. Conversational commerce is about monetizing the chat experience, not just having a chat or offering customer service, but actually offering options to buy. Again, there's an example of conversational commerce on our stand. You can have a look at how you can actually buy things through Facebook Messenger. Gamification is about extending customer loyalty. For example, after the checkout, you offer a little scratch card game to play to see if you can win their basket back. It's the same as giving 10% discount. If you set your gamification to work and giving 1 in 10 baskets free, is the same as offering your 10% discount up front. So again, look at options where you can play around with your payments a bit to kind of optimize and help you grow, and increase your basket size. We have things like scan and pay coming up where you have facial recognition, and this is really for more smaller retailers that are also on a pilot phase. You can always talk to us about innovations because we have an Ingenico Labs that is just focused on innovations actually. And then finally, I just want you to touch and think about one thing, which is peak sales. This is a quote from Johan, who kind of founded Potager City, which is an organic fruit and veg delivery box in France. So one is that you want your customer to basically feel safe and secure when they tap their bank card. But the second is also be prepared for peak sales. It can hit you at any time. Today, it's not about Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Peak sales is actually something that happens through the year. It can happen if a celebrity decides to wear your scarf. It can happen, the highest earning YouTuber is a 7-year-old who reviews toys. And it can happen if that 7-year-old decides to review something from your store, you know. Again, I'm just giving an example of, real live example of how peak sales work with one of the popular events we do in Europe. We process the payments for them. So you can see, one day is 55 euros, but that slowly increases, and at one point it just goes up to 5 million. Again, you need to think, is your payment, one is that is your website capable of handling that extra workload when it happens? But is your payments provider, do they have a stable platform to scale for growth so that at that time you're not hit with a card decline? So basic thing, stability, security, reliability, and of course, keeping it simple. That's what you should be looking for to enable payments to enable you for growth. And again, I want to reiterate, look at your top line growth. And in top line growth, payments can enable you to boost conversion and grow your business. And if you want to protect your bottom line growth, you need to look at how you can reduce your administration and optimize your payment setup. So looking at these two, you can effectively scale your business. And I'm going to end with a quote from a fancy dress online shop called Funidelia. They're a Spanish customer of ours. They're going to speak in the closing keynote today, later at 3:30. Please do come and see. They're quite a fun brand. They're basically two 25-year-olds who started this, but they're scaling rapidly across borders. They sell basically fancy dress costumes. And again, if you look at what the founder of that company is saying, is that we need an online payment partner who can help us through your customer journey. Again, I want to end with customer experience as the key. With the right customer experience, knowing where your customers can find you, being ahead on search, being in the channels where they are, mobile, social, and being able to deliver it at the right time, again in delivery, you can actually scale your business to challenge the bigger brands. With that, I'd ask you to visit our stand, which is right opposite, or talk to me later if you want to talk about any payment challenges you have. And also, I'd like you to have a try at our European Traditions quiz. It's quite tough, I should say. I scored very badly, and I'm not very happy about it. But do have a go and see if you can, first of all, if you recognize any of these icons related to European traditions. It was developed by someone very European in my team. So, and find out even some of the UK traditions are a bit quirky. But do take the cross-border quiz and do visit us to talk to us about scaling your growth opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sangeetha. We've got about 5 minutes for questions. Anybody brave enough? Can I just ask a couple of questions? Obviously, great amount of detail that you had to pour through. Were there any surprises as an experienced retailer yourself? Any big things that came out of that you went, wow, still in this day and age, these things aren't quite right, or these things haven't been solved? Any specifics?
I think the big surprise when we were looking at the results was just the broad spectrum of companies in that next 2000. So they range from companies, turning over very significant amounts of revenue, but are just really, really early online.
Yes.
And then some other companies who have just gone straight for that whole multi-channel and are really aggressively growing. So I think what we're seeing is just a slice of UK retail. And I think the hope is if the bigger companies can pick their feet up and copy, catch up, really drive forward, they've got a chance to be in the top 500. And then for the other companies, not everyone wants to be $1 billion company. I'd love to turn over 10 million as long as I kept 8 million of it for myself. So I think we're seeing this push towards profitability, high credibility companies, but everybody wants to be as good as the best.
Yeah.
So no one's in business to be a second best retailer. They're in business to be the best themselves and their customers. And I think this is what's really been exciting for us.
Yeah, cool. And any questions? Everyone's very shy today. Sangeetha, just one. Obviously, you've worked with many retailers, and you can obviously gauge the impact to some extent between them putting in an intelligence platform like yourselves and the difference that that's made to them. What sort of scale of impact have you seen, without giving any confidential secrets away, what sort of intelligent impact have you seen when somebody's really gone to put in place the right payment methods in a market? And what impact has that had on their business?
I think the best example is Predator Nutrition.
Okay.
Reggie was basically only selling in the UK.
Yeah.
And he kept having fraud and issues with declines. And then when he went and said, oh, actually I'm getting traffic from America more, and he kind of looked at his own traffic. First is to know his own business, which he did. And then he implemented came to us and implemented the right payment methods. And again, the right fraud controls as well. Because if you have two right fraud controls, you're actually turning away a good customer.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not by location or region anymore.
Yes.
So again, he loosened up his fraud controls and worked on his declines. And then he saw his business expand. So now 40% of Predator Nutrition's growth actually is outside the UK market.
Wow.
So that kind of insulates your business, right?
So it's almost like turning on a tap
Yeah.
in a way. Yeah. Getting the right payment methods.
Yeah.